Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon news update for June 11th, 2024. Today, we're going to start out by learning about Elder Christopher H. Kim, a newly sustained 70. Christopher Kim was born November 18th, 1965, in Daegu, South Korea. His father was introduced to the church by a co worker and by an English teacher where the father attended English classes after work. His parents joined the church when Elder Kim was an infant, and he was baptized at age 8 and grew up attending church. When Christopher was 14 years old and had a chance to share the gospel with friends, he realized he needed a testimony so he could speak with confidence. I had the opportunity to share the gospel with 3 of my friends, and during the process, I was talking to them about the church and the gospel, and then I realized I need to know for sure that the Book of Mormon is true, and Joseph Smith is a prophet of God, and the church is true, so I can share with my friends with a conviction. He had read the scriptures personally and with his family. As I prayed about it, I felt a soul-comforting feeling, and suddenly there was not any question or any doubt about the Book of Mormon, and that is, I think, the first time I really felt the Spirit, and I knew about the Book of Mormon, and I knew that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God. This phenomenon is known as elevation emotion. One Redditor described it this way: many that have stepped away from the church, including myself, have reported that they still feel the Spirit the same way they did in church, and actually I can attest to this as well. How is this possible? The Redditor goes on to say. Turns out there is a phenomena that everyone feels in their lives called elevation emotion. It is well researched and thought to be associated with the same positive emotions as gratitude and admiration. Researchers are reliably able to generate the feeling that is often described as a warm sensation in the body or chest. Wikipedia says, elevation is an emotion elicited by witnessing actual or imagined virtuous acts of remarkable moral goodness. It is experienced as a distinct feeling of warmth and expansion that is accompanied by appreciation and affection for the individual whose exceptional conduct is being observed. Elevation motivates those who experience it to open up to, affiliate with, and assist others. Elevation makes an individual feel lifted up and optimistic about humanity. Back to Christopher Kim. Christopher Kim lived in Daegu until he graduated from high school and his family immigrated to the United States, settling in the San Fernando Valley north of Los Angeles, and was called to the Washington-Seattle mission. While he was serving in the Washington-Seattle mission, the future Sister Kim, then Sister Seong-mi Hong, now known as Sue, was serving in the California Los Angeles mission. While she and her companion were street contacting at a shopping mall in Los Angeles, Koreatown, the future Sister Kim met her future mother-in-law. Christopher and Sue met for the first time at a baptismal service and married December 7, 1991. Sue grew up in Daejeon, South Korea as one of 5 children. The entire family, except a 6-year-old too young to be baptized, joined the church in February 1977 when Sue was 9 years old. The family was introduced to the church by an uncle who taught English in high school. Sue studied sociology and graduated in 1989 from Cheongnyam University in Daejeon, then moved to Utah, where some siblings already had moved to live with an aunt. Christopher and Kim moved to Utah in August 1992, and Christopher started as a freshman at Utah Valley Community College, now Utah Valley University, and later transferred to BYU. He graduated from BYU with a bachelor's degree in sociology in 1995 and a Master of Business Administration in 1997. All 4 of their children were born while he was attending college. That was the happiest time, and also we learned a lot of lessons, especially we learned the principle of tithing. Sue told me, "Honey, even though you don't make much money, we have to pay tithing first." He continued, "We received so many blessings, so for us, that principle tithing is not a sacrifice. It's actually our little effort to receive so many blessings Heavenly Father prepared for us." After school, he worked for New Ways and for Melaleuca. His career has taken him to Idaho, Thailand, and South Korea. Since 2005, he has been employed by Unicity International, a Utah-based nutritional products and cosmetics supplier and multi-level marketing company. It never ceases to amaze me that members of the church, even when they come from other countries, tend to follow the typical Mormon story and even work for MLMs. Next up in temple news, over the last few days, 3 new temples in South and Central America have hit important construction milestones. Dale Renland of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles dedicated the Coban, Guatemala temple on Sunday, June 9th, and invited Latter-day Saints to dedicate your heart to God. Jorge Ceballos, president of the church's South American Northwest area, presided at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Santa Cruz, Bolivia temple on Saturday, June 8th. "The temple is the holiest place on the face of the earth," Elder Ceballos said. "Today we are going to dedicate this sacred ground. From now on, this will be a consecrated ground for the Lord, a place where His house will be built." A few weeks back, I made a short clip talking about how Mormons believe that the temples are Jesus' literal house. I got quite a bit of pushback that Mormons believe it's symbolically his home. But if you go to LDS.org, you will find many quotes like the following one. Under the heading, Temple, the House of the Lord, it says, literally the house of the Lord. The Lord has always commanded his people to build temples, holy buildings in which worthy saints perform sacred ceremonies and ordinances of the gospel for themselves and for the dead. The Lord visits his temples, and they are the most holy of all places of worship. Back to the news about temples. The First Presidency has released the groundbreaking date for the Londrina, Brazil temple. A groundbreaking service will be held on Saturday, August 17th, 2024. Ciro Schmiel, first counselor in the Brazil area presidency, will preside and offer a dedicatory prayer. Next, from LDS Living, consider this. When someone new visits your ward, what is their experience like? Are they acknowledged? Are they bombarded? Do they feel comfortable? Do they want to come back next week? When Latter-day Saint Connie Sokol forgot to pack a dress and wore her only clean hiking pants to a random single adult ward, she was warmly greeted before sacrament meeting by a sign in the foyer. The sign, that has a picture of white Mormon Jesus, says the following: "This is the most sacred and important meeting in the church. As you enter the chapel, please be reverent. To enhance the quality of your worship, we invite you to eliminate distractions and focus your thoughts on the Savior Jesus Christ." Here are a few suggestions from Connie's experience on how to create one of the most welcoming wards in the church. 1. Open your eyes. See anyone new? It's easy to fall into old habits, talk to the same people, and stay in our own social bubbles at church. And I might add, sit in the same pew every week. When I first stopped going to church, and a few brave people asked me why I stopped attending, I told them it's because we walked in one week and someone was sitting in our family's pew, so we just walked right out and never came back. 2. Provide a sign with context for what this meeting is, like the sign that Connie saw. An explanation of what the meeting is, how to act, and an easily accessible digital program can be so helpful in easing any anxieties over what to expect in a sacrament meeting setting. 3. Help visitors make connections. If you happen to notice a new face alone or looking lost before church, invite them to sit with you or connect them with a friendly member. You might ask if they have any questions about the meeting before it starts, or if they've had any experiences with church meetings or other faiths. If they have kids, offer to help them find their primary or Sunday school classes after the meeting. 4. Treat them like a new friend having a new experience. If it is their first time visiting, you don't need to pepper them with questions about joining the church or meeting with the missionaries. There's a good reason fellowshipping is such an important part of helping new converts feel and stay connected to the church, and the same principles apply in making your ward a welcoming place for new visitors. After I stopped attending in 2018, my primary-age daughter asked to go back about 6 months later because she missed seeing her friends at church, and I agreed to take her. After I dropped her off in primary and then walked into the Relief Society room, a member of the Relief Society presidency came up to me and said, "Oh, we've missed you." To which I responded, we didn't move. I'm pretty sure you can look up our address on the Members Tools app and just come over and pay us a visit." She didn't know how to respond, stood there looking at me with her mouth slightly open, and then turned and walked away. I had anticipated that question and was ready with that response, which I'm not sure was the most kind thing to do, but we had stopped attending for 6 months and not had one person try and reach out, ask us why, or visit us. Next up, from Axios.com, the Fairview Town Council in Fairview, Texas, is telling the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to design a smaller temple after planning officials voted against the towering structure. Why it matters? The Fairview mayor has said a church attorney threatened to sue the town. "I am very concerned about where this goes if we deny them," Mayor Henry Lessner said last week. He warned that the town could face a costly lawsuit if we don't show that we are willing to accept having a temple in town. The town council delayed a vote last week that could override the Planning and Zoning Commission's rejection last month of the church's plan for a 173-foot high building in the Collin County town of 11,000. The normal building height limit is 35 feet in the town, whose motto is "keeping it country." As the church ramps up temple construction worldwide, disputes over the building's heights, light pollution, and traffic congestion have erupted around the West. Fairview city officials said church representatives agreed to revise their plans, echoing compromises offered in Arizona, Utah, and Wyoming. When officials in Cody, Wyoming rejected the compromise last year, the church returned to the originally planned height of 101 feet in a legal back and forth that's pending in Wyoming State Court. And last up today, from the ex-Mormon subreddit, Mormon underwear lengths have suddenly grown 2 to 3 inches overnight. Lots of complaints. Some feel it's a bad batch just in time for summer. The lengths have grown for both men's and women's garments, and people are not happy. I'm not sure what happened, but it seems the length of garments has been extended. I do remember buying the smallest garments humanly possible because basically it was like trying to wear a white pair of biker shorts underneath my other clothing, and I had to make sure they were covered at all times, which was a real and constant nightmare. I'm a short person, and even when buying the smallest garment bottoms that could possibly fit on me, I still found it incredibly difficult to find shorts or skirts that would make sure that they were covered and didn't hang out. I feel sad for these people who now have to cover even more. I would love to see a side by side of the garments from months ago and the new garment bottoms that just came out and get an actual measurement of how much longer the new ones are. And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.